Yesterday I started transplanting the tomato plants, and as you can see, the weather outside, we got a couple inches of snow the night before, and it's been 10 days since I started the seed, so everything's doing good. And usually I do this outside, but as you can see, this year is just so cold, so long. So I'm going to go down and start by filling up my cups that I use over and over again. I use these styrofoam drinking cups, coffee cups or whatever they are, and I just cut a couple slits in the bottom of them with a knife so they have drainage. And I've been using these same cups, I think this is the 6th year now, and they stand up pretty good. I'm just going to fill them all most of the way up with some potting soil to get started here. Now, some people say when you use cups like this over and over again, you should sanitize them before using them, but I never had, so I'm not really sure if that's required or not because I haven't had any problems. And I'm just using the same Miracle-Gro organic choice that I got at Costco. And here you can see this is exactly 10 days after I started the seeds. Those heat mats really did a great job with the peppers, got them germinating in about 5 days. And the tomatoes all basically germinated in between 2 and 3 days. They were, all had popped through. So, the heat mats did actually make a big difference, I think. And there's some of that leftover basil I'm still using up. So I got everything out and wound up bringing it up in my house and doing this because it was nice and warm up there. So first thing I'm going to do is start by breaking up the tomatoes now. I like to use a small old fork, one of those little dessert forks, to get in there and dig out the plants. I find that this Miracle-Gro that I'm using this year has a lot of sticks in it, so you have to kind of work around them with the fork. The stuff I've used previously didn't have that kind of big chunks in it, so the fork can get stuck on some of them. But basically I just try to dig out as much root as I can and pick the strongest looking plants out, and then I'm just going to bury them as far as I can up there, part of the way up the stem, to help them get going better. Now, people ask me why I start them in smaller pots and then move them to these cups later, and I don't really have an answer for that. I've really just done it this way my whole life, just so I could pick out the the strongest looking little seedlings there and just toss away the rest. So that's basically my answer. I don't know if one way or the other is better, but this is the way that I'm doing it. Now, this first one here, these are the Amish paste tomatoes that I'm doing, and I'm just cutting back to a half dozen of each type of plant this year. So it looks like I'm only going to have about 48 plants, I guess. No, actually 40 plants this year I'm going to be putting in, so I'm cutting way back this year. And those little plastic markers I got off of Amazon do work really good. And you can see once I pick out the 6 best plants, I'm just going to toss the rest of these in the compost. And I'm going to reuse the dirt because it really hasn't grown anything yet. So then I'm going to go, and the next ones are the Paul Robesons, and these are our favorite dark tomatoes. And they did they did germinate good, and some of them have a good start here, you can see. So I'm just going to take and transplant the 6 best ones of them into cups too. And now same thing, I'm going to try to bury them a little bit with a little bit of dirt going up the stem there. And I will say, using those heat mats for the first time this year, they really did push these seeds to sprout quickly. As I said before, most of the tomato plants broke through within 2 to 3 days. So that was record numbers for me, I think. And the peppers were only about a day or two behind. And then these are the little Principe tomatoes that we grow these basically kind of like a big cherry tomato, but they have an extremely really good flavor, and they dehydrate very well, and they retain most of that flavor after dehydrating. So we really do enjoy dehydrating these, and we've been enjoying them all winter from last year's garden. And these can be quite productive too, so I figure 6 plants should be more than enough. I'm really hoping for some warmer weather soon so I can get outside and get the garden going and even just get the yard cleaned up where they tore it up with the electrical stuff. And I needed those German Johnsons, and I did get poor, I didn't have a lot of them that actually sprouted. They had a poor germination rate for some reason, and I don't know why, but at least I do have I will have the 6 that I need for the 6 plants, and I got them all set in the bins, and then I'm going to go back and just put some Miracle Grow on them to get them going. Now this is basically the only fertilizer that I do use to help get the plant started. I'll show you in a little while what I use and how I mix it up, but I find that it does work pretty good. And by putting it on the leaves and stuff, it really does seem to help them get going. And I brought my grow light stand back up. I'm going to use these fluorescents for some of the plants now. And now I'm going to go back and transplant some of these. These are those Roma type tomatoes, and they had 100% germination rate, even though the seeds were 2 years old. So, I'm real happy with that. And these were a very productive plant last year also. So it gets kind of boring after a little while doing the transplanting, but at least this year I'm doing about half the number of plants that I used to do. And then these are the German lunchbox that are kind of like a cherry tomato. Little bit of they almost look like a mixture of a cherry and a grape tomato, and they did have good flavor, so we planted them again. These are the purple Russian that I got the free seeds for with my seed order, and they actually were the first ones to germinate, and they actually are the biggest plants of any of them. So, I don't know, I've never planted them before, but they really did good to, starting out. So there's basically the start of all my tomatoes there, those 2 bins. And now I'm going to get into the eggplants, and they're still a little bit small for transplanting, but I figure, I'll do them now just to fill up a couple of these bins to put under the grow light. And the same thing, I just try to, get all the roots out with that little fork. And these you don't want to bury too deep in the soil. You really want to keep it at the, same line that they sprouted at there. So I'm pretty careful with these, so I don't do anything to slow down the plants or anything. And same thing, those little plastic tags, hopefully they'll stand up good. It looks like the the labeling stays right on them with the Sharpie. And these are the Rosa Bianca eggplants, and I'm gonna just start try to keep 8 of them. That should give us plenty of eggplants for freezing, because we do like to freeze them. So there's another bin that's basically filled up with the the rest of the tomatoes and the eggplants, and there are the seeds, the sprouts that didn't quite make it. They'll go in the compost pile. So then I'm going to start another tub up, and this one's going to have the those Rosita eggplants, and same thing. I'm going to try to save eight of them and start 8 plants, because that seems to be a good number for us. And we do eat a lot of eggplant. We've been really enjoying it. And then these are just some Cubanelli peppers that the seedlings were actually look big enough to transplant. Without the heat mats, these things used to take like over a week to just germinate on their own. So, I can see where they did make a big difference in there, and they're really worth it for pepper starting. And then these are the little jalapenos that I'm trying this year for jalapenos for people that don't like the heat anymore. So they did really good, and they germinated early and fast. And that's basically, what I'm going to transplant for the peppers now. The other ones still are a little bit small and tender to start transplanting, so I'm going to leave them for a couple more days. And this is what I use. I just get this Miracle Grow all-purpose. I bought this box of it about 10-12 years ago, and I had a little spoon in there, and I saved some 1.5 quart orange juice containers, and I use that one little spoon there per container, and I mix up the Miracle Grow like that. And I think this box will probably last me about 20 years because I only use it a little bit for seed starting here. So, you know, it does seem to stay good and everything. And then I just have this little water bottle that I use for putting the water on the plants. I've tried watering cans and everything else, and for some reason I like using this bottle best because I can control the amount of water that comes out of it very easily. And there's the other pepper plants. I'm gonna wait a while to start moving up. And so here they are. I got these three tubs under the grow light started, and you can see I moved this third light up to the top this year, so I have 3 lights on top. I used to have the stand set up with 2 lights on the top and 1 on the bottom, but I moved that bottom one up and really do have a lot more light there. I'm gonna see if that helps out a little bit more and gets it up to, you know, about the equivalency of the LEDs. So until warmer weather, I'm just gonna sit here and watch these things grow. Hopefully everyone else out there is having, you know, just as good luck starting their seeds this year. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.